Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this week's Fire Yourself show. So if you're stuck in the day-to-day operations, your business has been successful, but you're just flat out, almost close to burning out, you're going to want to watch this show today, because I'm going to show you some very important frameworks for getting out of the day-to-day operations, from working in your business to working on your business. And of course, that's super important. We'll get into that in a second. So first of all, what gives me the right to share this information? Well, I've helped over 65 business owners using my IP to build themselves out of their businesses. So that means that they're no longer working the day-to-day operations. They're able to work on their business, have as much time away from their business as they like, and their business continues to run without them. And this is something I've been doing for 35 years with my clients. So it's something I love to do. So typically when you're working the day-to-day operations, because you've been very successful and you're busy, the sort of more successful you become, the more trapped you become in your business. And it's kind of a rookie mistake, and I'm going to be talking about that in a second. It's why do people do it? Because there's no advantage in building yourself into the business. There's just none at all. But most people do it by default, and there's a lot of unconscious decisions making processes that go into people choosing to work in their businesses, one of which I'm going to share in a moment. So, of course, the busier you get, the more trapped you become, because you are required in the day-to-day processes of money making for that business. And that just means that you're going to have, you might have some dosh, you might have some money, but you're going to have no free time. You can't enjoy your family life. You can't, you're working weekends. You're going to be stressed. You're just juggling so much. And there's a reason for that, which I'll go into in a second. And this sort of being stuck in your business always leads to burnout. So you're already burnt out, or you will be burnt out. It's kind of impossible. And another thing that's really important to share is that when you are working the day-to-day operations of your business, typically you become the roadblock to growth, because everything's got to go through you. You are the knowledge holder, and therefore there's no ability to scale out what you're doing. Because you become the roadblock to growth. And this also means that you can't sell your business for the highest value, because no investor wants to buy a job. They're looking for a business that they can tweak, that is already scalable. And when we talk about scalable, let's just get clear about what that means. That means that there's systems and automations in place so that there can be high growth. A lot of clients come into that business, and the business can handle that volume. And as you can see, that can't happen when you are working the day-to-day operations. It typically decreases the ability to scale. And of course, you can't have the kind of lifestyle that you wanted to have when you first went into business. And I've been super fortunate, because this knowledge that I share with other people, I've used myself, and I've been able to travel all over the world, surfing, sailing, snowboarding, kiteboarding, and just doing the things I love, because I didn't get trapped in any of the businesses that I have built. And again, there was fortune involved with that, just in the same way that I hope that you feel like there's good fortune being around the information I'm sharing with you. I had two really good mentors when I first went to Hawaii as a young Kiwi kid, and they were traveling all over the world. They preferred to sail and surf than work. And so they had businesses and a whole bunch of assets that produced money for them. And I worked with them to set up their teams and set up their systems. So I just learned so much. And so I was thankful that I met them, and hopefully you feel the same when you're getting this information from me. So typically, from a framework perspective, you've built your business around you, and I'll talk about why you will do that in a second. Just one of the reasons. There's many reasons. And basically, you've built yourself a job, plus you have all the stress of owning a business. This is why you see so many business owners that work in their business working 60, 70 hours a week, and this is why it leads to burnout. I want to share a really important truth with you. So this truth sort of talks to these business owners that are working in their business in the day-to-day operations, on the tools, so to speak, being part of the money-making processes of the business. And then they're also trying to run the business. And for those that can't see this because you're watching the audio, I have an image of a conductor up on the screen. And the conductor is a great analogy or metaphor for entrepreneurship. You never see a conductor trying to play the violin, play the fiddle, the drum, and be a conductor. It's absolutely impossible. The conductor's job is to allocate all the different resources in the orchestra. And sometimes the conductor's bringing in the drums. Sometimes it's bringing in the violin section. And so they're a controller of the resources in an orchestra to achieve a vision. So typically we see business owners working in their business. They're so tired from working in their business that they're unable to work on their business effectively. So it just can't be done. And for clients to work with us, we get them to what's called the conductor stage. So we have technician stage, then to conductor stage. So we're starting to take them out of the day-to-day operations, put them in conductor stage. They're now starting to control resources and involved with a bunch of other things that I'm going to share with you in a moment that are really important for growing a business that runs independently from you. The final stage is independent stage, where a business just runs completely without you. And you've got leadership team in place. There's dashboards, there's still controls in place. Also, subscribe to this if you haven't already. Subscribe to this channel. Just a couple of things I want to share with you. And also, you'll see a link below. You can apply for a free strategy call with us. Often I do that, or one of my other team will do it. I do as many as I can. So subscribe if you want to have a free chat about how you are able to build yourself out of your business. Now, just so you know, they book up all the time. So just get in. We put people on a waiting list. We get to you when we can. So you want to build your business so that it runs for you, not because of you. And it's a really good framework to have, a really good concept to grab hold of. And to do that, you've got to start to change the way you think. Now, in a moment, I'm going to show you, you've been trained to be a resource. But when you want to be a really good entrepreneur who builds businesses that run independently of them, and anyone that's watching this tends to want that outcome, you've got to change your thinking to be a controller of resources. Now, resources are IP, capital, people, strategy. That's the job of that conductor that we saw before, to control resources, not be a resource. And you'll see why this is super important in a second. Most people have been controlled to be resources, and I just want to share a couple of key things here. So first of all, why do people build their businesses around them? Well, the first reason is typically you've been trained, and for those that can see the slides here, I know you probably can't read the writing, but number 4 talks about people that are trained to be really good at what they do. So you might be a watchmaker watching this, or you're a plumber, or you're a hairstylist, and or you build bikes, whatever. You've got your thing that you love, the thing that you're passionate about. So when you go into business, you go into business with the thing in mind. I love making that thing. I really enjoy building that thing. And so, this is why electricians go, I want to go and set up my own electrical business. I can do it better than my boss. The watchmaker goes, I can't wait to make the best watches in the world. And so you come into business with this doing element, this expertise in the thing you deliver. And quite often you think that's enough, and it's not. And we'll get into this in a second, because we'll be digging into the key core framework for today, which is what we call the 4 hats approach to building yourself out of the business. So you come into your business life with an expertise in doing your service, making the thing that you love to make. Now, this is a real issue and challenge because you are now a resource. And I won't go into it today, but basically you grew up. If you grew up in the working, middle or professional classes, trained to be a doctor or a lawyer, you were trained to be a resource through your education system. And I've been fortunate, as I told you before, my mentors are super wealthy people, generationally wealthy. And I have worked with a lot of the generationally wealthy business owners here in Australia. They get trained in a different way. So they get trained from birth to control resources, not to be resources. So this is a really important thing to start to latch on to. Our education systems are set up to create resources for those with more power. And those with real power are trained to control resources. So you can see the symbiotic sort of relationship there. I'm not bagging education at all, by the way, but it doesn't serve you to be an investor or an entrepreneur, that type of education, being trained to be a resource. And this leads to a problem that I'm going to be sharing in a moment. So the other element with this is that because you've been trained to be a resource, you're not a controller of resources. Secondly, there's another challenge. You are not a psychologist and you don't understand human behavior. So oftentimes your attempts to get out of the day-to-day operations in your business require you to bring on other team members. And because you don't know what I know as an example, you will have team members that are just going to cause you problems, challenges, and no wonder you start to go, oh, God, I just got to do it myself, right? So just so you understand, when you are masterful at building business that run independently of you, you know who to employ. You've got to have people with what we call high levels of conscientiousness. People with high levels of conscientiousness feel terrible. They feel ashamed when they make a mistake. They've got their own internal high standards. We'll be talking more about this in future Fire Yourself shows. But you can see how this starts to cause problems. A business owner is trained to be really good at what they do, watchmaking, being an electrician, being a hairstylist. And so they naturally become a resource in their business. And then when they're trying to get out and work on their business, they employ people. They don't know how to employ people. By the way, clients that work with us, they get access to a recruitment system that just means that right from the start, they repel people that don't have the right values from applying. So we have very good recruitment systems based on behavioural science that just mean that you end up with a team high in conscientiousness and the right personality style to do each role. So the other element with this is that typically, because business owners that are trapped in their business have been trained in the thing they deliver and do, they've not been trained in the things that really matter when it comes to building a business. So as an example, you have not been taught strategy. You have not been taught how to market. You have not been taught how to build a team. You've not been taught how to build an asset that runs separately from you. It's not in your thinking. So this takes me to the thing I really want to concentrate on today, and that is 4 hats. So you can start to see the problems when you've been trained to be a resource, to be a worker in your own business. You can see that you don't know enough about people to be able to recruit with high levels of trust and success. So you'll feel nervous and shaky in the recruitment process. And because you've got some people around you that just aren't right, you will be micromanaging. So these are real issues and challenges for business owners that are trying to get out of their business. And again, come and have a chat to us. I've got a couple of tools you can use. And we're here to help you with that stuff. So we're going to go to 4 hats now. Now, when we work with 4 hats, what we're talking about are the 4 areas of expertise that a business owner has or must have to build a business that runs independently of them. And the first one is the operator. And the operator, you typically, if you're watching this, you already have been trained in. That's the doer of the jobs and tasks in your business. And when you're in your operator hat, you turn up to work and you know you've got this job to do and that job to do and this job to do, and then you're going to go and see this person, you're going to go do that. This is what we call the operator or technician hat. This is what I meant before, where you've been trained, you know, as a electrician, or you've been trained as a salon, as a hairstylist. So when you're doing those jobs, you are in operator. And when you're filling out things for the business, like you're filling out order forms, again, that's still all operator stuff. The second hat we have is creator. And as a creator, you fall in love with the idea. You are improving your widget, your service, your course, your program, etc. You are excited about creating a new brand, a new way. This is all about improving what you're doing. So the operator and creator hats are super important. But typically for me, when I'm working with clients, that's not what I'm dealing with. As I said before, the weakness for most people that have been trained to be a resource is they're not trained in the intellect and skills required to build the business to run separately and independently of them. So this is where we come into the last two hats. So the next hat is the CEO hat. And when you're wearing the CEO hat, you are really looking at planning, strategy, vision. You're looking at what needs to be structured, what needs to be planned, measured, what needs to be delegated. Coming back to the conductor that we talked about before, the conductor is implementing all the resources, people, IP, and strategy to fulfill their vision. So these are thinking roles. When you're in the CEO, it's a thinking role. It's a strategic role. It's about plotting and pondering and thinking. And to be honest, it's only when you're in CEO role that you're applying the know-how required to build the business so it runs independently of you, so that you can be outside of the day-to-day operations and building a business that you can sell for high value. Now, the challenge is most people in operator and creator feel super comfortable there. They also have parts of their personalities that are aligned with being an operator and creator. So just as an example, if you are trained to be a hairstylist, it's in you to be a hairstylist. You enjoy chatting to your customers and cutting hair. It's part of your personality, right? And, you know, when you get you're thinking about improving your salon that you own. From the creator aspect, you're thinking about, I want to make this place really beautiful. This stuff's natural to you. But to build the business, you have to develop this CEO hat. The CEO hat's looking at it from a vision perspective. It's logic. It is thinking. It is strategy. And typically another sabotage you'll see around this is you'll constantly see people who, just by habit, they're in their operator and creator, and you're trying to get them into their CEO. And they don't want to do it because they actually feel guilt. They feel like they're not working. They feel bad for taking time out. So as an example for me personally, every day, or at least 4 days a week, all I'm doing at the morning is getting up and I am reading. What am I reading? I am reading good quality business books. And these are books about growing business, about marketing, about strategy. I lay around actually on the sofa here often, or I sit out on the deck and I just read and I write notes. And then what I'll do is I go to my 90-day planning documents or my annual planning documents, and I extrapolate a lot of what I've learned from reading into the planning. And then, and only then, do I particularly move into creator or operator. So I'm structured in my week to spend time in the CEO, but most business owners that are stuck in their business don't. And not only that, they feel that they can't, that they don't have enough time to be in the CEO role. And look, it's true. You know, if you're successful in your business and you've got all these clients and you're trapped in the day-to-day operations, you don't have time. I've actually got a solution for you. I'll give you that in a second. But you'll have to find the time to develop some CEO time and slowly work your way so you can have more CEO time. Personally, I love my CEO time because it fulfills my values of learning and growing and evolving. The fourth hat is the investor hat. And the investor hat only looks at when and what is the financial return. It only looks at the business through financial lenses. That's all it does. So again, when we talk about these hats, you watching this, you must have all of these four hats. If you don't have these four hats, guaranteed you are sabotaging. And as I said earlier, because most of the people that are watching what I create have been working in their business because you've been trained to be an operator and been trained to be a creator. So that's kind of your unconscious habit pattern. So you'll tend to be avoiding CEO and investor. So the CEO and investor hats. And oftentimes it means learning, because you've got to learn new ways of looking at your business from an investor's perspective or the CEO's perspective. Another thing I can share about these four hats is that in reality, the CEO and the investor are more important than the operator or creator. I'll say that again. The CEO and investor are far more important than the operator or creator. So you'll see a lot of businesses where the business owner is in their operator and creator all the time, and they're always struggling financially, or they may have money coming in, but they've got a terrible lifestyle. There's stress and issues within their business. Because again, when you're an operator creator, you're not effectively working through problems and building out systems. So there's systems approach to solving those problems, which is, again, the CEO role. So if you go to a business that's got really strong owner that has strong CEO and investor hats, I think businesses are always doing superior to people that are only in the operator and creator. Another element to this too is if you can be strong in CEO and investor and you employ people with skills that are strong in operator and creator. Now, finally with this, it's, there's two other things I want to share with this. The first one is you must structure your week to be in these. Okay, so if you don't structure your week, your calendar, so that you put aside time to be in the hats that you are not normally in, it won't happen. So you might have, half a morning where you're an investor, another 6 to 7 hours a week when you're in your CEO. And that might be disciplined for a while before it becomes a habit. Or secondly, what you're able to do is have expertise in your business that has those hats. So if you're strong and operating creator and you don't really want to spend the time in developing your CEO and investor, then you have outside advisors that assist that and assist you with that. As an example, I'm on several advisory boards, and part of my role on those advisory boards is working with clients who tend towards going into their operator and creator as their habit patterns a bit weaker in CEO and investor. And I specifically sit there as CEO and look at things from a CEO perspective for them. I become their eyes and ears and thinker in relationship to that hat for them. They have to go away and implement after what I share with them in the advisory board meeting. And we also have investor expertise on those advisory boards. Anyway, I hope that sort of helps you understand what must be developed within you in regards to the 4 hats to get yourself out of the day-to-day operations and to build a business that runs independently of you. You won't get away without developing these 4 hats. It's impossible to have the outcomes that you want as a business owner without developing these 4 hats, or certainly having them in your business through outside expertise or even employed expertise into your business to take care of these elements. Finally, which I am not really addressing today, but there's also the element of your belief pattern. So you can have all your hats in place, but on a deeper level in your psyche have mistrust. I don't trust people. It could be an unconscious belief system that you don't see. I don't trust people. So it doesn't matter what hats you have in place. If you've got an unconscious belief system driving you, even if you employ the right people, you still won't trust them and you won't be able to back out of your business. I share that because psychology is important. Entrepreneurial psychology is important, just as important as the technical. Do yourself a favour, you'll see below there's a link to signing up to receive the Fire Yourself show into your inbox. We also run community around the shows, Q&A, so I'll answer any questions for people that sign up on the show. You'll get the full show, not just the half show. And also, I have a really incredibly good product. It's called the Fire Yourself Blueprint, and it's a proven step-by-step blueprint for exiting the day-to-day operations and building a passively owned business. Choose the hours you want to work, plus prepare to sell for high value when ready. And this is it comes with a masterclass. Shows you exactly the steps that clients go through to get out of the day-to-day processes of their business and build a business that runs independently of them, so they can go out on holiday for months, knowing that the business runs without them. And can be sold for high value. This is an incredible tool, not just training. It's once a month you'd go through the checklist and you do this, you do that, you do the next thing, you do the next thing. And just by doing that, you start to build a business that runs independently of you. Go and check it out. The link's down below. It's an amazing tool. And if you've got any questions that you want to ask me, just send them on through. Have a great day. Thank you.